Marvel. I can summon Naruto characters. Chapter 1. In 2008, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Hell's Kitchen. A young man who looked about 18 years old was walking on the streets of Hell's Kitchen with an 8-year-old kid. The young man was Zhang Ming, a time traveler. On a stormy night, he was struck by lightning and transported to the Marvel Cinematic Universe while watching Naruto. The other kid was Uchiha Itachi at the age of 8, who was summoned from the system mall by Zhang Ming after he traveled through time. Although Uchiha Itachi was only 8 years old, he had a single Magatama Sharingan, and ordinary Chunin might not be his opponent. What the hell is this place? Zhang Ming walked and cursed, and stopped when he passed a shop. The TV in the shop was playing the news broadcast. On the TV, Robert Downey Jr. said to the camera seriously, "I am Iron Man." Zhang Ming blinked his eyes. This was the news broadcast. When he realized what was happening, he was shocked. He had actually traveled to the world of Marvel. Zhang Ming, let's go find something to eat. At this moment, the 8-year-old Uchiha Itachi touched his belly and said. Zhang Ming glanced at him, "Do you have money?" Itachi shook his head. Although he had money, it was the money of the Naruto world, which could not be used here. Zhang Ming also had money, but it was the 2024 soft sister RMB, which could not be used in this world either. At this moment, a drunk black guy came out from the corner, cursing. "Hey, where did you come from, you yellow monkey? Get out of the way, don't block my way." Zhang Ming narrowed his eyes and looked at the other party. Without saying anything, he rushed forward and knocked the other party down with a series of moves. As for why Zhang Ming is so good at fighting, it's because when he summoned the 8-year-old Uchiha Itachi, he inherited Uchiha Itachi's strength and bloodline. Heijir was stunned. He, a 2-meter tall muscular man, was actually knocked down by a yellow monkey. "Hey, kid, what do you want to do? Don't mess around, my boss is Brother Benny." Pa. Zhang Ming slapped him again with his backhand, and then stepped on the other's chest. "Hey, buddy, I'm a little short of money recently, lend me some money to spend." Brother He was stunned for a while. He was the only one who robbed others. When had he ever been robbed by others? "No, if I understand correctly, you actually robbed me." Bang. Zhang Ming was too lazy to talk nonsense with him and punched him in the stomach again. Then he searched his body for a while and found only $200 in a bag of laundry detergent. Cough cough cough. After a cough, Haig begged for mercy. "You can take the $200, but please leave the detergent for me, otherwise I won't make it through the night." Zhang Ming hated this kind of drug addict the most, and threw the detergent in his face with a look of disgust. Heijie picked up the detergent and quickly thanked Zhang Ming. "Thank you." "You're welcome." Zhang Ming took $200 and took Uchiha Itachi out of Hell's Kitchen. On the way, they met two black people who wanted to cause trouble. They were taught a lesson by Zhang Ming and robbed for another $300. Now Zhang Ming had $500 in hand and was planning to take his little brother out for a good meal. Uchiha Itachi couldn't bear it. "Zhang Ming, we ninjas shouldn't attack civilians. That's not a civilian, that's a member of the mafia, understand?" Zhang Ming explained to the other party, and then went to a nearby McDonald's. He had no choice. He and Uchiha Itachi had no identity, and they were both Asian. Apart from breaking the law, he couldn't think of how to survive in this Marvel world. The McDonald's waiter looked at the two of them with some curiosity. Especially Uchiha Itachi, who was wearing something weird, and there was a ping-pong paddle pattern on his back. Was he playing cuz? "Sir, what would you like to eat? This set meal and this set meal." Zhang Ming took out $100 and pointed to the two sets in the picture. Uchiha Itachi. "Zhang Ming, I want to eat 3-color meatballs." "Why are you eating 3-color meatballs? Don't you just like sweets? Let me order you an ice cream." Zhang Ming said unhappily. It feels like taking care of children is the most troublesome thing. It would be great if he could summon an Uchiha Itachi in his prime, at least he could walk sideways in the early stage of the Marvel world. Of course, he was not too pessimistic, because the system mall would definitely summon other Naruto characters. If his luck exploded and he summoned Hashirama Senju or Madara Uchiha in their prime, he would be rich. After eating and drinking, Uchiha Itachi watched the variety show on TV curiously, and felt that the people here spoke particularly vulgarly. After all, he was only an 8-year-old child, and he blushed when he heard it. Jiang Ming was not in the mood to watch TV. He was thinking about what to do next at the moment. At least he had to solve the problem of survival. He traveled through in the flesh, and Uchiha Itachi was summoned. They were both complete black households. Jiang Ming, where are we going next? Let me buy you some clothes first. Jiang Ming sighed. It was really strange for Uchiha Itachi to walk on the street in this outfit. The two of them went into a nearby children's clothing store. When they came out, Uchiha Itachi put on the newly bought clothes and shoes. It must be said that the little Itachi in modern clothes is still very cute. I spent another $300, and only $120 are left. According to the memory of the previous life, Iron Man is the second superhero. If Captain America is not counted, the first one seems to be Hulk. Judging from Tony Stark's appearance that resembles Robert Downey Jr., this should be the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is good, there are no mutants who destroy the world at any time. The only thing he needs to worry about is the snap of the fingers of Thanos, the director of the Universal Family Planning Office. He dare not bet on the 50% chance. Of course, this is all for the future. What he has to consider now is where he should sleep tonight. And the problem of accommodation in the future. He squinted his eyes and looked at the gold shop opposite, thinking to himself, should I rob it? With the strength of him and Uchiha Itachi Chunin, it is still very simple to rob the gold shop. When he was just an ordinary person, he just wanted to be a Superman. When he had strength, he said that being a Homelander was too delicious. When his strength reached the point where he could kill Thanos, he stopped eating beef. Itachi, let's go rob a gold shop. Itachi was stunned. He also knew the importance of money, but did they really want to rob a gold shop? At this moment, there was a commotion in front, and a group of black guys rushed into an Hermes brand bag store. Jiang Ming's eyes lit up. Compared with robbing a gold shop, the risk factor of 0 yuan shopping was obviously lower. Itachi, follow me, and do whatever I do. Itachi nodded and followed Jiang Ming into the Hermes store. Jiang Ming had no reason to be polite, and kicked away all the black guys who blocked his way. Anyway, those who participated in the $0 shopping were not good people, and quickly snatched 7 or 8 bags, including Uchiha Itachi. The clerks and security guards did not stop them, and everything was based on their own safety. However, when they saw that among the members who participated in the $0 shopping, there was an Asian kid about 8 years old, they were stunned. 2 hours later, on a busy avenue in New York, Jiang Ming and Uchiha Itachi were setting up a street stall. Don't underestimate street vendors in New York, especially those black people stalls. The things they sell are basically genuine brand name luxury goods, which can be confirmed by the broken glass on some bags. There were also a few promotional photos placed next to them. The content of the photos was a battlefield for $0 purchases. Jiang Ming spent $1 to print them out. It was so arrogant. Itachi looked at the content of the photos and asked in confusion, Jiang Ming, what if we are caught by law enforcement officers like this? Little Itachi, we can't solve the problem of where to sleep tonight. Wouldn't it be better if we were caught? Don't worry, this is a very free country, and criminals like you shouldn't have any problems. Jiang Ming waved his hand nonchalantly. If he did that, he would most likely be shot. But Uchiha Itachi is only 8 years old, he is still just a child. As long as the police don't want to cause trouble, they dare not do it to Uchiha Itachi, otherwise the Child Protection Association can teach them a lesson in minutes. The Hermes bags I just bought for free are all $300. You can't get a bad deal with $300. You can't get cheated with $300. Jiang Ming and Uchiha Itachi kept shouting to the crowd on the street. Stark Industries is across the street, so there is a lot of traffic. This stall quickly attracted many passers-by to watch. Oh my god, are these photos real? Oh my god, kid, tell me, were you coerced by him? He is my brother. Sir, just buy a bag. This is a genuine Hermes bag. Jiang Ming rolled his eyes at the man in annoyance, thinking that Uchiha Itachi would be the wolf destroyer who would exterminate his own clan in the future, and he dared not threaten him. After the man found some glass shards and pictures on the bag, he thought it should be genuine, so he generously bought 2 at one time. Jiang Ming took the money with a smile, saying that he could pick 2 bags here and take them away, but don't think about the invoice. More and more people gathered around, and the business was getting better and better. At this moment, a black luxury bulletproof car stopped near the stall. A fat bodyguard got out of the car and came directly to the stall. Yes, this person was Tony Stark's bodyguard Happy. He received an order from his boss to come here to drive away the crowd so as not to affect the image of Stark Industries. Hey, kid, who's in charge here? Me and him. Zhang Ming pointed at himself and then at Uchiha Itachi. Happy soon found the pictures of the $0 shopping site printed by Zhang Ming, and his mouth twitched. Can you set up your stall somewhere else? It has seriously affected the employees of our Stark Industries. Zhang Ming looked up at Happy, and then looked at the bulletproof car not far away. He was not setting up a stall on the land of Stark Company, and there was a highway between them. He thought to himself that this evil capitalist was really domineering. Thinking of this, Zhang Ming snorted in his heart, but pretended to look pitiful on his face. Sir, my brother and I have no choice. A few days ago, 2 robots were fighting near my home, and a cannonball flew from somewhere and took away our home and parents. We are Asians, and there is no compensation. We are all trying to survive. Itachi was stunned, and looked at Zhang Ming in surprise, thinking what the hell is this? They are not from this world. Where did their parents and families come from? Happy was also stunned. Of course, he knew that the robot fight Zhang Ming was talking about was the battle between his boss Iron Man Tony Stark and Ironmonger Obadiah Stane. However, everyone should have received the compensation for the losses caused by that battle. How could such a thing happen? Did someone embezzle the compensation? Thinking of this, Happy asked the 2 to wait, and one of them got into the car and repeated Zhang Ming's words to Tony verbatim. What? There is such a thing. Someone must have embezzled the compensation. Tony had already transformed after the kidnapping by the 10 rings. After hearing Happy's retelling, he felt angry and guilty. He was angry because someone dared to blatantly embezzle the compensation. He felt guilty because his fight with Obadiah had caused them to become orphans and had to buy things for free to make a living. Happy, go and bring the 2 kids over here. I want to ask you something. Okay. Happy nodded. However, when he came to the stall again, Zhang Ming and Itachi had already sold all the goods and left. Happy shrugged helplessly and got back in the car. Boss, the 2 kids left. Left. Never mind. When Tony returned to his villa halfway up the mountain, he somehow kept thinking about the 2 brothers today, especially Uchiha Itachi when he was still so young. Jarvis, help me check the information of those 2 brothers. Sir, from the information we have found so far, there is no record of the 2 people in the past. The younger one is about 8 years old, and the older one is about 18 years old. According to the camera records, they appeared in Hell's Kitchen for the first time today, and then entered McDonald's, bought clothes for free, and set up a street stall. Jarvis, I think you need to upgrade. Tony listened blankly, thinking how could a person have no record? It's impossible for him to appear out of thin air, right? He shook his head and didn't bother to think about it. Jarvis, show me all the surveillance videos of those 2 kids. Okay, sir. Jarvis is indeed the most advanced smart butler at present. After a while, he retrieved all the video records of Zhang Ming and Itachi. The first time they appeared was in Hell's Kitchen. They robbed a black guy just after they appeared, and then robbed 2 more black guys. After coming out of Hell's Kitchen, they ate McDonald's, bought clothes, went shopping for free, and set up stalls. Tony doubted his eyes a little, thinking that this Asian kid was too good at fighting, right? Was he using Chinese kung fu? So, I was deceived by that guy. Sir, I can't tell whether you were deceived or not. It may be your bodyguard Mr. Happy who deceived you. It must be said that Jarvis is a comforter. But Tony didn't think Happy would lie to him, so it was obvious that the evil guy had lied to Happy. In the evening, Zhang Ming bought some daily necessities and rented a room in a 3-no hotel in Hell's Kitchen for a long time. Although they had money after the $0 shopping, it was almost impossible to stay in a regular hotel. Who made them have no identity? Regular hotels would not rent rooms to 2 people of unknown origin. Since Zhang Ming had just crossed over today, the first thing he had to consider was the problem of survival. Now that he had a stable place to live, he had to first figure out what the relationship was between him and the characters summoned by the system. This was to avoid accidentally summoning a big devil who would kill him without a word. Glancing at the boy Uchiha Itachi who was eating dessert, Zhongming asked calmly, "Little Itachi, will you listen if I tell you to do something? You are my creator, of course I will listen to you. By the way, Itachi, do you know Sasuke, Fugaku, Makoto, these people?" "Of course I know them, they are my father, mother and brother." Zhongming nodded. After a brief questioning of Uchiha Itachi, he also got a general idea. Although Uchiha Itachi retained his memory, he, the summoner, would definitely be ranked first. Even if the system Mall summoned Sasuke, his importance in Uchiha Itachi's heart would be higher than Sasuke. Ding! Hyuga Hinata has awakened, please pay attention to receive. Receive. As Zhongming silently chanted, receive. In his mind, a space vortex suddenly appeared around him, and a cute little loli fell out of it. Zhongming looked at the little loli in front of him with a twitching mouth, wondering why all the ones he summoned were little brats. If it was an adult Hinata, he could still. A few days passed like this, and Zhongming soon discovered another problem, that is, they were out of money again. There was no way, because a few days ago he summoned a glutton loli, who ate him directly into poverty. This glutton loli was none other than the 8-year-old Hyuga Hinata. Uchiha Itachi suggested, "Zhongming, let's do another 0 yuan purchase." Zhongming glanced at him speechlessly, thinking that he really deserved to be the future genocide Itachi, who would always make 0 yuan purchases. "Hey, it's not every day that you can buy for free. Then let's go rob those blacks, shall we?" Uchiha Itachi suggested again. After all, he had been in this world for a few days, and the only way to make money was to rob blacks and buy for free. He didn't know anything else. No one posted tasks here, and he, a ninja, didn't know how to do business. Zhongming didn't expect Uchiha Itachi to give any good advice, so he had to find a way himself. "I'm sorry, it's all my fault." Hinata apologized with some guilt. Usually, Zhongming and Uchiha Itachi would be full after eating only one set meal, but she had to eat 10 to barely feel full. Zhongming waved his hand. Although he looked down on Hinata's strength, he inherited her Byakugan after all, so it wasn't a loss. Wait, Byakugan. Now that he has Byakugan, he can use it to gamble. What a genius idea. Zhongming cuz mask Obito's clothes, without the spiral mask, he used the Iron Man mask instead, which can be bought everywhere. As a ninja, faking the voice is also very easy for him. "Itachi, Hinata, wait for me here. I'm going to earn some pocket money." "Zhongming, how about I go with you?" Jay was a little worried. "No need." Zhongming responded in a hoarse voice. He did not go out through the main door, but climbed out through the window, which was safer. Although he was not afraid, he did not want to be recognized by the gangsters, so as not to cause unnecessary trouble. For a man with the Byakugan and Sharingan, cutting leaks in the Hell's Kitchen where the gangsters gathered was not scary at all. Zhongming was quite familiar with Hell's Kitchen, and soon came to a casino opened by Jin Bing. Before he entered, he was stopped by 2 black guards. "Hey, take off your mask please." "Hey, you 2 fools, do you look down on Iron Man's fans?" A hoarse voice came from the Iron Man mask. "Sorry, we didn't mean that. Please come in, sir." Seeing that Zhongming didn't look like he had any weapons, the other black man made way for him. "Humph. What I hate most is racial discrimination in black people." Zhongming snorted coldly and walked into the casino with an arrogant look on his face. As soon as he walked in, Zhongming's eyes lit up. In addition to the gamblers, there were actually quite a few scantily clad foreigners. But Zhongming soon calmed down. He came here to make money, not to pick up foreigners. After wandering around the hall for a while, he finally chose a place to play dice. There was no way, who made him have white eyes and can see through the dice cup. Zhongming had just sat down when the gamblers present cast strange eyes at him. Who comes to gamble with a mask? Is he planning to rob the thieves? One of them even cursed with disdain and sarcasm, "Psycho." Zhongming was angry. He remembered this idiot, but he didn't react immediately. Instead, he touched the stack of detonating talismans in his pocket and sneered in his heart. If there was a conflict later, he would blow up this idiot first. When he came in, he exchanged $20 in chips. Back then, Chen Daozi could win 25 million Hong Kong dollars with 20 Hong Kong dollars, and he, Zhang Ming, could also win 25 million US dollars with 20 US dollars. Please place your bets. Zhang Ming rolled his eyes at the dice cup. The dice showed 1, 2, 2, and 5 was small. Without thinking too much, he placed 20 chips on the small number. Most of the others placed their bets on the big number. Buy and forget it, the beautiful dealer said habitually, and then opened the dice cup, and it was indeed small. Then the next round began. Zhang Ming rolled his eyes and took a look, and it was still small. There was no need to look. Zhang Ming won again, and the dealer smiled and pushed 80 chips in front of Zhang Ming. Then came the third round, the fourth round, the fifth round. Zhang Ming put all his chips in every time, and won every time, doubling his chips. After a while, other gamblers also began to bet with Zhang Ming. The dealer could no longer keep smiling, and looked at a muscular man in a suit not far away, a little at a loss. The man in the suit nodded at her and said something to an earphone on his suit. After a while, more and more people gathered around, and in addition to the gamblers, there were many muscular men in the crowd. The muscular man, some old customers seemed to have noticed something was wrong and began to leave secretly to avoid unnecessary trouble. Zhang Ming certainly didn't know this. At this moment, he had already 980,000 won US dollars, but he didn't plan to continue. After all, this is not Las Vegas, and he was afraid that the boss would have no money to give him if he continued to win. The purpose of his coming here is to make money, not to cause trouble. Of course, if the other party makes trouble first, don't blame him for being rude. The beautiful dealer seemed to have seen the scene of Zhang Ming's hands and feet being broken and thrown into the stinky ditch. Zhang Ming stood up and was about to leave, but someone didn't let him go. More than a dozen big men surrounded him in the middle. The tattooed muscular man in the lead said coldly, "You want to leave after winning the money? Do you dare to bet with me for a few games?" He was also a kind reminder to Zhang Ming. If Zhang Ming is willing to output the chips, then he can kindly let the other party leave safely. If the other party is unwilling, then sorry, I have to break his limbs and throw them into the stinky ditch. Zhang Ming rolled his eyes at this idiot and said in a cold tone, "Get out of the way, I don't want to bet with you." "No, you have to stay and bet with me, please don't make things difficult for me." The tattooed man looked at his accomplices around him and sneered with disdain. The gamblers around started to leave one after another. Soon, only Zhang Ming and the casino's thugs were left. Zhang Ming sighed. It seemed that the ordinary gamblers had all left. The ones who stayed were all gangsters, or in other words, the gamblers who could come to Hell's Kitchen were all scum. He took out a stack of detonating talismans from his pocket, about a dozen of them. "What, are you planning to burn paper money for yourself in advance?" There was another round of laughter, and the one who first called him a psycho laughed the loudest. Zhang Ming did not laugh. He very considerately took out 2 detonating talismans, one on the tattooed man and the other on the person who called him a psycho. He threw the remaining detonating talismans into the air, and soon, the detonating talismans were floating everywhere. "Hey, what do you want to do, you psycho?" "I want to say that art is explosion," Zhang Ming said, and then he used the body flash technique to quickly leave the scene. Before the gangsters could even draw their guns, Zhang Ming had already arrived outside the casino, with his index and middle fingers together in front of his mouth. "Art is explosion, haha." Boom boom boom, a violent explosion sounded from the casino, and soon, the whole building collapsed. Humph. Kingpin, Zhang Ming, will remember this grudge. Zhang Ming left without looking back, still feeling a little indignant. The white pig not only caused him not to win any money, but also lost $20. Not long after, the explosion here soon attracted the sound of sirens. If it was just an ordinary gunfight, perhaps these American police would not bother to care, because this is Hell's Kitchen. But an explosion of this scale easily reminds people of terrorist attacks. Tonight in Hell's Kitchen is destined to be a sleepless night, but Zhang Ming went straight to sleep when he returned to the hotel. At night he had a dream in which he dreamed that he summoned Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. And he himself inherited the abilities of these two people, and summoned the Susanoo Buddha in front of Thanos. Humph. Thanos, do you want to dance too? Zhongming opened his eyes the next day and looked at the ceiling blankly. It turned out to be just a dream. Shaking his head, he got up, brushed his teeth and washed his face. Hinata was already awake, and Uchiha Itachi had already bought breakfast. How about Zhongming, did you win last night? Forget about it, those losers didn't even plan to pay. Zhongming answered with a depressed look on his face. Others who came here could kill everything in a second, but he had to worry about his livelihood. Thinking of last night's dream, and looking at the 8-year-old little Itachi and Hinata, he couldn't help but sigh again. This is the rhythm for him to form an infant hero alliance. What should I do? Why don't I go out tonight and see if I can rob some black people for some money? Uchiha Itachi suggested again. He has been in this world for a few days and knows the importance of money. Just be quiet, I'll find a way. Zhongming didn't look at him, but watched the news broadcast on TV. On the TV screen, the announcer was like a chicken with blood, interviewing some nearby residents in the ruins that were blown up by Zhongming. Corpses were carried out in body bags. Hinata saw this scene and knew that it was Zhongming who did it. She said weakly, Mr. Zhongming, can you please not kill people? Little Hinata, those are all bad people. They have killed countless people, and they even want to kill me. Zhongming was very patient with the cute little Hinata and explained to her. Ah, are they bad guys? I'm sorry. Hinata also realized that she had said too much and continued to eat her breakfast with her head down. According to the gamblers, after they left, only a group of gang members and a man wearing an Iron Man mask were left in the casino. Only the bodies of the gang members were found at the scene, and the man in the Iron Man mask was not found. It is not ruled out that the masked man is the murderer of the bombing. Zhongming thought to himself that it was a good thing that I was wearing an Iron Man mask at the time and my voice was disguised, so it should not be traced back to him. At this time, Stark Tower was in a luxurious office on the top floor. Tony also watched last night's news through the images provided by Jarvis, and couldn't help feeling a little stunned. Am I so popular now? Even terrorists wear Iron Man masks. Sir, do you need me to investigate this person's background? Jarvis' voice came from the office. There is no need for that. Tony thought that those gangsters were not qualified to enter his eyes. In fact, with Jarvis's ability, he could find out the identity of the detonator and Zhongming. But Tony was too arrogant and didn't take these little things to heart. On the other hand, because Zhongming was bankrupted by Hinata, the glutton, he decided to take Uchiha Itachi to do something big. I'm sorry, Zhongming-jun, I can actually eat less. Hinata apologized again. It's okay, it's just money. Hinata, you stay here and protect yourself. Little Itachi and I will be back soon. Zhongming planned to learn from Zhang Zhijiang and do something big. As the saying goes, if you don't open a business for 3 years, you can make a living for 3 years after you open it. Originally, he planned to go to Las Vegas, but after the last terrorist attack, he was afraid of being recognized, so he decided to be a kidnapper. He didn't have a clear target. Whenever he came across a luxury car on the road, he would kidnap the people in the luxury car, and then ask the family of the other party for a ransom. It was that simple and crude. Uchiha Itachi had no objection. After all, he was summoned by Zhongming, and he would do whatever Zhongming told him to do. After buying 50 buckets of instant noodles for Hinata, the two set off. At 2 o'clock in the morning, Zhongming and Uchiha Itachi came to a road far away from the city to scout the area. Vehicles on the road came and went, and soon, a super cool-looking red sports car came from afar. Little Itachi, let's take this one. Uchiha Itachi nodded, and the two of them walked to the middle of the road wearing Iron Man masks. Yes, they were so arrogant. Even if the other side didn't have time to brake, with his and Itachi's skills, they could easily avoid it. Natasha in the sports car was stunned, wondering why someone was blocking the middle of the road. But soon she found something wrong, because both of them were wearing Iron Man masks, and she wondered if these two guys wanted to rob her. Natasha, who wanted to brake, only thought for a second and chose to speed up directly. The two blocked the middle of the road in the middle of the night, and it was obvious that they were ready to commit a crime. Moreover, with her driving skills as Natasha Romanoff, a senior agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., she was confident that she could turn in time to avoid the two when she was about to hit the other party. Jiang Ming was stunned, wondering why the other party didn't break. Didn't he see them? Was it intentional or accidental? Itachi also noticed something was wrong and nudged Jiang Ming's thigh with his elbow. Jiang Ming, the other party seems to want to hit us to death. It's okay, since she won't break, we'll help her break. Jiang Ming snorted coldly and took out a kunai with a detonating talisman tied to it. Both parties were not ordinary people. Black Widow found that the other party took out something like a talisman from his pocket and couldn't help frowning. Although she didn't know what the other party wanted to do, she still chose to break. But it was obviously too late. Jiang Ming shot the kunai out, and put his middle finger and index finger together in front of his mouth. Ha! Boom! The sudden explosion blew the luxury car away, and the Black Widow in the car was unable to move because the airbag was blocked. At this time, the Black Widow was still a little dazed, and a kunai pierced the airbag in the car, and then another person used a kunai to press her neck. Oh, she's still a beauty. Jiang Ming was suddenly stunned when he said this, thinking that this big mare looked familiar. Scarlett John. It seems wrong, it should be Natasha Romanoff. This is too much of a coincidence, just robbing a fat sheep can actually meet one of the undercover agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Widow shook her dizzy head, and when she reacted, she quickly reached out to subdue Jiang Ming. However, Uchiha Itachi next to her quickly reached out and grabbed her wrist. Black Widow wanted to resist, but unexpectedly found that she couldn't break free. She looked at the masked Uchiha Itachi with an incredible face. It was hard to imagine that the other party, a dead dwarf, was so strong. However, when her eyes met Itachi's, she only saw a pair of single Magatama Sharingan. The next second, Black Widow was caught in the illusion and stayed where she was. Jiang Ming, she has been controlled, what should we do next? Jiang Ming was a little confused. After all, the other party was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. If he wanted a ransom, he could only ask Black Egg. And according to Black Egg's personality, he would probably drive a Kun fighter over here. It would definitely not work to just leave her here. After all, it was late at night, and who knew if a Black Widow night would come. In an abandoned warehouse, when Black Widow woke up, she found herself tied to a chair with steel wires, using SM binding. Facing this situation, she was not too panicked. After all, as a senior agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., she had experienced this situation countless times. Then she looked at Jiang Ming and Uchiha Itachi, who were still wearing Iron Man masks, and pretended to be very scared. Who are you? Why did you kidnap me? Is it for money? Jiang Ming thought, this woman is really good at pretending. However, it is not his style to let her go after she has been kidnapped. Isn't it just a black salted egg? It is just a black salted egg that has been undercover in the Snake Shield Bureau and has become the director. That's right, we kidnapped you for ransom. Let's call your family, what's the number? Jiang Ming took out a mobile phone and said in a pretended hoarse voice. Black Widow was speechless, thinking that she, a senior agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., was actually kidnapped by two kidnappers. If she really called her director or colleagues, she would probably be laughed to death. Seeing that Black Widow was not cooperating, Jiang Ming frowned immediately. Girl, don't force me to use force. Ding ling ling. Just then, the other person's cell phone rang. Jiang Ming took the phone out of the other person's body and answered it directly. Listen to me, the owner of the phone has been kidnapped by me. If you want to rescue him, bring me $5 million. Before Jiang Ming could finish his words, a loud voice came from the other side. Abandoned warehouse at Soros Farm in Manhattan, New York. RF-22 fighter jets can be launched at any time. Let that woman answer the phone, otherwise we can blow the warehouse to the ground before you leave the warehouse. Really? I don't believe it. Jiang Ming hung up the phone without hesitation after he finished speaking. He didn't believe that the other party would blow up Natasha as well. But he was also very depressed in his heart. How could anyone kidnap Natasha? Coulson on the opposite side was also having a headache. The other party didn't know Natasha's identity. They were just two kidnappers who kidnapped Natasha for money. He really couldn't understand how Natasha, as a senior agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., could be kidnapped by ordinary people. The robbers also came to them here at S.H.I.E.L.D. to extort a ransom, which was simply ridiculous. The Black Widow suddenly jumped up and spun in the air. She wanted to use the stool leg to knock Zhang Ming down, and then use her own weight to smash the chair to get out of trouble. However, imagination is beautiful, but reality is very skinny. Zhang Ming dodged easily, and then kicked the other party 10 meters away with a flying kick in the air. Cough cough cough. Even with Black Widow's modified body, she still coughed non-stop after being kicked. She seemed to remember that she only saw a pair of red eyes with a magatama, and then she came to this warehouse inexplicably. In other words, these two people are not ordinary robbers, but most likely modified people. However, one thing is certain, the two robbers used kunai when they blew up her car, which means that the other party is likely to be Sakura people. No wonder one of the robbers is so short. Hey, man, can we talk? Zhang Ming snorted, we don't have much to talk about. You ask the family to send $5 million in cash, and we will release the person. Black Widow gritted her teeth and spat out a word, okay. Zhang Ming nodded with satisfaction, dialed the number again, and put it to Black Widow's ear. Coulson's voice came from the phone, come back soon. I'm sorry, I really can't get away this time. Are you serious? Yes, the opponent's skills are stronger than expected. Black Widow was also very helpless. She had just solved a terrorist's hideout and had not yet returned to S.H.I.E.L.D. when she was kidnapped by two inexplicable robbers. Moreover, these two robbers actually asked S.H.I.E.L.D. for a ransom. How embarrassing. Coulson on the opposite side was silent for a few seconds before speaking again. All right, I'll ask the director for a ransom. Zhang Ming saw the other party hang up the phone, and searched Black Widow's body again. He found quite a lot of things on her. Anti-wolf spray, stun gun, lipstick gun, micro grenade, grappling claw, rope, USB flash drive. That's fine, but there's also a ball gag, eye mask, whip. What the hell are these for? Shaking his head, Zhang Ming was not interested in any of these. He just took the several $1,000s in his wallet and ignored everything else. Black Widow's mouth twitched, thinking, you really kidnapped her just for money. I want to go to the bathroom. Big or small? Does this matter? You just have to bear with the big one, I can buy you a pack of adult diapers for the small one. Black Widow. In fact, she wanted to say that adult diapers could also be used for big ones, but after thinking about it, she decided not to. On the other side, at the S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters, Coulson told the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury, that Black Widow had been kidnapped by the kidnappers. Coulson, are you saying that our senior S.H.I.E.L.D. agent was kidnapped by the kidnappers, and then the kidnappers found S.H.I.E.L.D. to demand a ransom? Coulson shrugged. This was what he meant. Of course, Black Sauce Egg would not obediently pay the ransom to the robbers. If this matter were to get out, how would other departments view S.H.I.E.L.D.? Clinton, you lead the team to rescue Natasha. Director, I think I need to remind you that according to the information provided by Natasha, one of the robbers is very skilled. Coulson reminded without waiting for Hawkeye to answer. Don't worry Coulson, I can rescue Natasha. Hawkeye patted Coulson on the shoulder and went out to pick out equipment. A special compound bow equipped with an infrared sight, made of titanium alloy, and a special quiver filled with 7 kinds of arrows with various functions. Then he led 8 S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and set off in a mighty manner according to the tracking locator implanted in Natasha. I want to see who the kidnapper is who could have kidnapped Natasha. In an abandoned warehouse, Zhang Ming and Itachi were having lunch. Both of them did not take off their Iron Man masks, but lifted them up a little, leaving only their mouths exposed while eating. For safety reasons, the two ate with their backs to Natasha. Although Natasha had her back to them, she could still see the chins of the two men through the small mirror installed in the ring on her finger. Judging from the chin, the short man was not a dwarf at all, but a complete child. The tall man also looked very young, definitely no more than 20 years old. I was speechless to the extreme, how could someone kidnap a child? Someone is coming. Zhang Ming used his white eyes to see someone approaching, stopped eating, and put his Iron Man mask back on. In the field of vision of the white eyes, several big men approached stealthily. Zhang Ming recognized the leader, it was Hawkeye Barton. Black Widow was a little surprised. Even she didn't notice someone approaching, and the other party didn't have any sophisticated instruments. How did he find out? But she could probably imagine that her director would not obediently pay the ransom. Little Weasel, keep an eye on the meat ticket. I'm going to go out and see what's going on. Be careful. Itachi nodded. Neither of them knew that they had been recognized by the Black Widow, and they pretended to have a hoarse voice when they spoke. On a tree near the abandoned warehouse, Hawkeye drew his bow and arrow, using infrared equipment to observe every move in the warehouse, waiting for the opportunity to rescue people. However, from the infrared, it was unknown when a target was missing on the other side, and Barton was stunned. Little did he know that Zhongming had quietly come behind him using the instant body technique. Hello, are you looking for me? Hawkeye Barton was startled, and turned around and shot an arrow reflexively. Zhongming used the insight of the Sharingan to easily dodge, and then turned around and kicked the opponent away. Before he landed, Zhongming hurriedly caught up and used a series of moves on him in the air. Hawkeye was stunned, and when he woke up, there was a kunai on his neck. The other 8 agents rushed out and pointed their guns at Zhongming. You'd better not act rashly, otherwise I can't guarantee that your leader's neck will not be cut by me in the next second. Zhongming snorted coldly, holding Hawkeye's neck with a kunai in one hand and dragging him into the warehouse by his clothes with the other hand. Hawkeye didn't expect that he would be knocked down in one round, and he felt a little embarrassed in front of his colleagues. After a while, Hawkeye was dragged back to the warehouse, and Itachi skillfully tied him up with steel wire into an SM shape. Hawkeye looked at the Black Widow who was also tied up next to him. Are you okay? The Black Widow replied indifferently, it's okay, I was just kidnapped by 2 little brats. Little brat. Hawkeye looked at Zhongming and Itachi in surprise. Zhongming was also stunned. How did Black Widow know Itachi's age? What little brat? My brother is just a dwarf. Are you trying to help him cool down? Okay, if your brother has the ability. Black Widow looked at Uchiha Itachi with disdain. Itachi shook his head and said seriously, I don't like her, she is too ugly. Black Widow. What a stupid brat, this is the first time she has been called ugly since her debut. Hawkeye held back his laughter. With Natasha's appearance, he didn't expect that she would be called ugly one day. Zhongming was not surprised. After all, Uchiha Itachi's orientation was a bit problematic. Or it seems that everyone with the surname Uchiha, except Obito, has some problems with their orientation. What should I do, Zhongming? It seems we have been recognized. Didn't I tell you to call me brother? What does it mean when you call me by my name? Zhongming glared at him fiercely. Ah, I'm sorry, brother. Itachi lowered his head in embarrassment. After all, he was only 8 years old, and he was not the Itachi who would exterminate his clan in the future. He didn't think about things that carefully. Besides, the will of fire was just a tool for the top leaders to brainwash their subordinates. Snake Shield Headquarters. Black Salted Egg received another report from his subordinates. What did you say? Barton was also kidnapped by the kidnappers. He didn't expect that Hawkeye was also kidnapped despite being well prepared. 2 senior SHIELD agents were kidnapped by the robbers, and they asked him for ransom. How could he, the director of SHIELD, feel embarrassed? Ding ling ling. At this time, Coulson's cell phone rang again. He glanced at the dark face of Black Sauce Egg and answered the call. 10 million. I will tell their families, please don't harm the hostages. After the call was hung up, Coulson said helplessly, Director, you heard it too. The other party said that Natasha and Barton wanted a ransom of 10 million. Black Egg did hear it, but he would never compromise. In his opinion, Hawkeye must have failed to rescue because he underestimated the enemy. However, even Barton failed, who else could he send? In the end, he thought of someone, that is Melinda May, nicknamed Iron Knight. Coulson, I need Agent Melinda's help. Ah, okay. Coulson felt a little worried. Even Barton had failed, so Melinda probably wouldn't be much better. Soon, Coulson came to the logistics department and briefly explained the current situation. Agent Melinda, SHIELD needs you now. Melinda was silent. 7 years ago, she shot and killed a 6-year-old girl in a mission error. Since then, she has been living in self-blame, hiding in the logistics department and never going on a mission again. May, it's been 7 years. It was just an accident. Coulson persuaded. Just this once. For the sake of her colleagues Natasha and Barton, Melinda finally agreed. Coulson smiled. As long as Melinda accepted this mission, the former Melinda, who was known as the Iron Lady, would come back, and their shield would have another outstanding agent. The only worry now was whether Melinda would follow in the footsteps of Hawkeye and Natasha. An hour later, in an abandoned warehouse. Bang! Zhang Ming kicked a chair away and glared at Natasha and Barton viciously. Are you guys the Calabash brothers saving Grandpa? Believe it or not, I will kill you directly. Natasha and Barton looked at each other, both speechless. They just secretly remembered the Calabash brothers saving Grandpa, and guessed that the other party might also be Chinese. This time Melinda brought 20 excellent agents over. After meeting up with the 8 agents brought by Hawkeye, she instructed the 28 people, you stand by here, I will try to negotiate with the other party first. Yes, sir. The agents saluted and then found a place to ambush. After Melinda saw that her men were all hidden, she took a deep breath and came to the door of the warehouse and knocked directly. She was confident in her skills. There were only 2 robbers. She only needed to subdue the one who was responsible for opening the door and then ask the other one to exchange hostages. As long as the other party had no hostages, then with the ability of their shield, they could even use heavy firepower to raze this place to the ground. After all, this was just a suburb. Is anyone there? Zhang Ming rolled his eyes at Melinda May at the door, and suddenly an evil smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Anyway, he had been recognized by Natasha. If he didn't want to kill to silence him, it would be very easy for S.H.I.E.L.D. to find him and Itachi. Thinking of this, he pulled Itachi over and gave him some instructions in his ear. Itachi nodded, took off his Iron Man mask, walked forward to open the warehouse door, raised his innocent little head, and asked in a baby voice, "Are you my mother?" Melinda, who was about to take action, was stunned by the childish face of Uchiha Itachi, and her thoughts suddenly returned to the little girl she killed. Why is it a child? Her hand, which was on her thigh and ready to draw the gun, unconsciously loosened. The intelligence clearly said that it was an adult and a dwarf, so how could it be such a small child? Was the intelligence wrong? Little boy, are you looking for your mother? Melinda tried her best to force out a kind smile, but it looked forced. Itachi stared at the pistol hanging on her thigh, pretending to be very scared. Auntie, are you going to kill me with this gun? No, no, no. You misunderstood, I won't. Melinda was about to say that she would not kill a child, but she had indeed killed a 6-year-old girl, and she began to speak incoherently. Itachi stepped forward and pulled the pistol from her thigh. His movements were not fast, but the other party was still not on guard at all. Then his smile disappeared, and he pointed the gun at her temple. Forgive me, Auntie, this is Zhang Ming's order. This is not something you should play with, kid. Bang! Without waiting for her to finish her words, Itachi fired a shot into the sky with an expressionless face, and then pointed the gun at her again. Melinda would certainly not surrender, and she acted decisively. Itachi took advantage of his short stature, got through Melinda's crotch, jumped up and kicked sideways, directly kicking Melinda several meters away. Needless to say, Itachi took out the steel wire very skillfully and used a set of SM bondage techniques on Melinda. Melinda glanced at Natasha and Barton, who were also tied up like SM, and felt extremely depressed. Zhang Ming looked at the 3 people in front of him, and was also extremely depressed. Finally, he sighed helplessly. Do your family members have no money? Or do they think that the ransom of 5 million per person is too expensive? Or do they think that I really would not kill anyone? Zhang Ming, I also think that 5 million is too expensive. In fact, 50,000 per person is enough for the 3 of us to live for a long time. Without waiting for the other party to answer, Uchiha Itachi spoke first. He has been here for several days and knows the price level here. He thinks that 150,000 US dollars is enough for them to live for a while. The conversation between the 2 made the 3 hostages feel awkward. As senior agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., being kidnapped is shameful enough. In the end, the other party only asked for a ransom of 50,000. Does that mean that each of them is only worth 50,000 US dollars? Shut up, little weasel. I don't care what you think, I care what I think. Fortunately, Zhang Ming saved some face for them and scolded Uchiha Itachi. He took out a black earplug from the pile of items he had searched and helped Melinda put it on. Tell your men outside to retreat. Melinda rolled her eyes, but still did as she was told. Uchiha Itachi was studying the pistol in his hand, firing a shot from time to time, and almost always hitting the target. He felt that a gun was much more useful than a kunai, and it might be useful for robbing black people and buying for free in the future. The agents outside heard the occasional gunshots from the warehouse, and they were frightened and nervous. If they hadn't found out from the night vision goggles that Natasha and the others were fine, they would have rushed in long ago. Jiang Ming didn't have time to care about Itachi, because his next Hokage character would be awakened soon. Ding! Namikaze Minato has been awakened, please pay attention to receive it. Jiang Ming hurried to the toilet and silently said to receive it. After a space vortex wave, Jiang Ming was surprised that the other party was actually an adult Namikaze Minato. Jiang Ming also inherited Namikaze Minato's abilities and combat skills, especially Flying Thunder God. In the future, he will no longer need to rely on robbery, kidnapping, and $0 shopping to maintain his living card. Not to mention, even if he goes to deliver takeout, he can easily earn 1.02 million. When the two came out of the toilet, Natasha and the other two were a little surprised. So you have an accomplice. Jiang Ming was too lazy to pay attention to them. At this moment, he was more inflated than ever before and waved to Minato Namikaze. Minato, go knock out all the agents outside. Okay. Namikaze Minato smiled gently and was about to go out to do something. Wait, let's take all the money from them. The three ace agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had their mouths twitched when they heard this, thinking how much money you need. Namikaze Minato didn't care about that, he took out a few Flying Thunder God kunai from his arms and left the warehouse. Spiral Flash Super Round Dance 3 Styles. The three of them only heard the name of this shameful move, and in less than 5 seconds, they saw the sunny ghost fire boy come back and say that he had done it. So fast, how is it possible? The three looked at Minato Namikaze in disbelief. Minato smiled gently at the three, I am famous for being fast. Since this place was exposed, Jiang Ming decided to move to another place and take the three hostages back to Hell's Kitchen first. He asked Uchiha Itachi to tie the three people up again, and then threw the three people into the trunk of the car without saying a word. This car belonged to S.H.I.E.L.D. But Jiang Ming was not weak either. After all, he was now a cage-level strongman. Even if he met Thanos, he could easily escape. I advise you to let us go, otherwise it will only implicate the child. Melinda was very dissatisfied with Jiang Ming and Minato for bringing a child out to kidnap. Namikaze Minato also felt that this was a bit inappropriate. Jiang Ming, why don't you let them go? So your name is Jiang Ming, are you from China? Natasha asked. Jiang Ming didn't bother to pay attention to them and just closed the hood. As a hostage, he should do his duty as a hostage. And that black salted egg, he didn't even want to pay the 5 million ransom, so he kidnapped 3 people at once. When he got back to the car, he found that Uchiha Itachi, the little brat, didn't get in with him. What on earth are you doing, weasel? We're in a hurry. Jiang Ming, I found the weapons here are quite useful. What else can Itachi do? Of course, he cleaned up the battlefield. He looted all the guns and weapons from the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and threw them into the passenger seat, and then sat in the back seat with Minato Namikaze. Jiang Ming gave him a thumbs up, said a good job, and then started the car and left. Jiang Ming sometimes feels stupid. Really, why would he kidnap S.H.I.E.L.D. agents for no reason? And he kidnapped 3 of them at once. Even if the person kidnapped was Tony Stark, Pepper Potts would have sent the money long ago. He is not like a black braised egg at all. I don't know if he is confident in his own agency or it is a matter of principle. He is just a black man who went undercover in S.H.I.E.L.D. to become the director. Just as Jiang Ming was driving and thinking about random things, he encountered a traffic policeman checking his car. After Jiang Ming parked the car, a traffic policeman came to the main driver's window and knocked on the glass. Hello, sir. Please show me your ID. Jiang Ming cursed inwardly that he was unlucky. Someone was checking the car in the middle of the night. He took out an AK from the passenger seat and got out of the car. Sorry, sir, I forgot to bring my ID. Can you make an exception? The traffic police looked at the AK in the other party's hand, and saw more than 20 guns on the passenger seat. He couldn't help swallowing his saliva. With so many ammunition, are you planning to rob a bank? Another traffic police wanted to draw his gun. Bang! Uchiha Itachi stretched out his little hand holding the gun from the back seat and shot the gun on the other party's waist off with one shot. Zhang Ming smiled. Sorry, we use these guns for hunting. Dong dong dong. As soon as Zhang Ming finished speaking, there was a dong 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 sound from the trunk. The scene suddenly became quiet. Zhang Ming glanced at the trunk, pointed at the traffic police with the AK, and explained with a smile, Christmas is coming soon. It makes sense for me to buy 3 turkeys and put them in the trunk, right? The traffic police nodded seriously. Well, it is indeed reasonable. Christmas is in another 6 months. Merry Christmas to you. I'm fine. Thank you for your cooperation. It's okay, thank you 2 officers, you've worked hard. Zhang Ming showed enough respect for the professionalism of the American police. After agreeing to have coffee together tomorrow, he started the car and left again. The 2 traffic policemen also waved and saw them off very enthusiastically, and everyone was happy. However, before they had driven a few kilometers, a group of SHIELD agents greeted them with guns in front, and there were 2 armed helicopters in the sky with searchlights. Zhang Ming was so angry, this group of ghosts lingered on the street. Namikaze Minato tossed the flying thunder god kunai in his hand and asked with a smile, Zhang Ming, do you need me to help? Zhang Ming thought about it, and finally shook his head, forget it, let's leave. It's not that they are afraid, but it's not cost-effective. After all, they still have to live in this country. After packing up the guns in the car, Zhang Ming took the 2 people and used the Flying Thunder God technique to return to the vicinity of the abandoned warehouse. There is no way, this is the disadvantage of the Flying Thunder God technique, you need to mark the mark in advance to teleport to the location. You have nowhere to escape, surrender, we will consider lenient punishment. Zhang Ming and others left, while Coulson was still using a loudspeaker to persuade them to surrender. Sir, 3 targets have disappeared. Coulson was stunned. Disappeared, what do you mean? Literally. Coulson took the infrared sensor from the other party and looked into the car, and found that there was only the heat source of Natasha and the other 3 people in the car, and the other 3 people really disappeared out of thin air. Coulson cursed and hurriedly opened the trunk of the car. When he saw the 3 senior SHIELD agents tied up by Uchiha Itachi using SM binding techniques, his mouth twitched. Over the sky of Manhattan, New York, an armed helicopter slowly flew towards the direction of SHIELD. Inside the helicopter, the 3 senior agents who had just been rescued said nothing. Coulson wanted to break the awkwardness, but he didn't know what to say for a moment, and his mind hadn't come to its senses yet. The famous Black Widow Natasha, Hawkeye Barton, and Iron Knight Melinda are all well known in the industry. Now she has been kidnapped by 3 kidnappers, and the calls for ransom have even been made to SHIELD. Who would believe it if they told others? Are kidnappers so cruel nowadays? Well, the mission failed, it's nothing, it's mainly due to insufficient intelligence, not war crimes. Coulson tried to break the awkwardness, but the 3 still didn't speak, or they were too embarrassed to speak. Natasha sighed, she knew that the other party did not kidnap her premeditatedly, but it was a coincidence. If she hadn't driven a flashy sports car, maybe such a bad thing wouldn't have happened. Melinda was also very depressed, she was defeated by an 8-year-old evil Uchiha brat. Hawkeye had nothing to say, he was defeated by Zhang Ming, they were all adults, he was not invincible, it was normal to be defeated, he was just not as skilled as others. SHIELD headquarters. Black Egg finally breathed a sigh of relief when he saw his 3 ace agents coming back. Tell me, what happened to the 3 robbers? Director, let me explain. Coulson took out a tablet and began to explain the information of Zhang Ming and the other 2. Very strong, the blonde-haired one knocked out 28 outstanding agents of our SHIELD in just a few seconds, and he is elusive and can disappear and reappear in an instant. The more Lu Dan listened, the darker his face became. He saw that the other party was not an ordinary robber. He cast his eyes on the 3 hostages. Do you have anything else to add? Natasha. The Asian youth is very strong in fighting. Barton and I are not his opponents. He also has a pair of red eyes that can hypnotize me instantly. Melinda added. The 8-year-old child is also very strong and has red eyes as well. Black Sauce Egg opened his mouth with an expression as if you guys are kidding me, are you sure? We can be sure that they were also responsible for the explosion in Hell's Kitchen. They used something similar to talisman paper, and the explosion was very powerful. Natasha shrugged and explained. She remembered that her beloved car was blown up by an explosive talisman. This involved He Lu Dan's blind spot in knowledge, so he quickly used his computer to search the internet. Then he found a lot of famous scenes where Uncle Ju used talisman paper to subdue zombies, and he couldn't help but marvel at them. It turns out that the three robbers are from Maotian Taoist priests. He Lu Dan felt more and more that something was wrong. If this was true, then wouldn't their shield have to deal with zombies in the future? As a Chinese, Melinda knew that He Lu Dan had misunderstood something, and came out to explain. Director, the robbers used explosive talismans, not some kind of Maotian Taoist magic, it's not that complicated. He Lu Dan also felt that he had lost his composure and quickly closed his notebook. According to the current information, the other party has not done anything evil. Do you think there is a chance to win them over? Black Sauce Egg has always had a plan, which is to form the Avengers. The tentative members are Black Widow Natasha, Hawkeye Barton, Iron Man Tony, and Hulk Banner. Zhang Ming and others did not kill anyone except participating in $0 shopping, robbing black people, and kidnapping SHIELD agents. What did they do wrong? They just lacked money. Compared with the property losses caused by Hulk Banner, it is much better. After all, capable people can have some privileges more or less. After Natasha and the others left the office, Nick Fury, after a period of contemplation, decided to wait and see for a while. At least Tony and Banner must be dealt with first, and then the issue of Zhang Ming can be considered. However, compared to the conservatism of He Lu Dan, Alexander Pierce did not have so many concerns. From the currently known information about Zhang Ming and others, they robbed 3 black people when they debuted, and then participated in $0 shopping, and then engaged in kidnapping. Looking at the appearance of these people, you can tell that they dare to do anything except good things, and all they owe is an opportunity. They, Hydra, need such talents. That night, Zhang Ming and others returned to the rental house. The black landlord saw it and thought, it's okay that there was a little lowly with cataracts before, and now there is a yellow-haired will-o'-the-wisp boy, how can this be? Hey man, when we rented the house, there were only 2 of us. Now the price is not the same for 4 people. I don't have any money, can I use this AK as collateral? Zhang Ming didn't bother to talk nonsense with him, so he threw him an AK and took Minato and Itachi upstairs. The black landlord didn't care, he took it and checked it, and felt that this AK was much better than the ones on the market. Hey, man, do you have any bullets? Give me some more bullets to mortgage for 3 months' rent. Zhang Ming responded with a middle finger and went back to the room. When Hinata saw the few people coming back, she put down the instant noodle cup in her hand and went forward to help Uchiha Itachi pack up the gun. Zhang Mingjun, have you made money? No, something unexpected happened. Zhang Ming sat down on the sofa, looked at the dozens of empty instant noodle cups in the room, and began to think about the next plan. They had only been out for 1 night, and Hinata, the little Lolita, had eaten dozens of instant noodles. How much can she eat? If they don't find a way to make money, little Hinata might starve to death. Little Weasel, besides robbing black people and buying things for free, do you have any other way to make money? Itachi glanced at Hinata and nodded seriously, yes. Oh, tell me about it. Zhang Ming also became interested. Itachi took out a newspaper from under the table. Zhang Ming, look, there is a variety show for big eaters here, and the prize money is $200,000. Zhang Ming's eyes lit up, and he quickly grabbed the newspaper and started reading. The rules of this variety show are also very simple, as long as you eat a lot, and with Hinata's bottomless stomach, who in the Marvel world can eat more than her? Maybe she can become a Hollywood star because of this, and take on advertising companies or something, or at least become a food broadcasting internet celebrity. Thinking of this, Zhang Ming stepped forward and patted Hinata on the shoulder. Hinata, we all depend on you for support, you are the real hero. Hinata was stunned. No, you asked her, an 8-year-old little girl, to support 2 grown men and a little kid, isn't that too much? But with her personality, she couldn't say no, so she could only nod weakly. If it's just eating, I should be fine. Very good Hinata, you keep your word, this is your ninja way. As the 4th Hokage, Minato Namikaze felt a little embarrassed to be supported by a little girl, so he immediately raised his hand and asked, Zhongming, I also want to make some money. Do you have any way? Uchiha Itachi answered first, Fourth Hokage, your flying thunder god is very suitable for robbing black people and buying things for free. Get lost, little brat, get out of here. Zhongming pushed away Langmi, who always wanted to rob black people. Black people have no grudge against you, why do you have to keep picking on them? You can also rob white people, what a joke. Minato, your flying thunder god is very suitable for delivering food, why don't you go deliver food? Zhongming's idea is very simple. At present, they have no criminal record. Since they have the ability to protect themselves, there is no need to do those illegal things. Sure. Minato nodded. He thought no one could deliver food better than him. Only. Just what? Everyone turned their eyes to Zhongming. Zhongming spread his hands, it's just that we are all illegal residents, what should we do? Uchiha Itachi raised his hand and said, we can use the Sharingan to control Tony and ask him to help us get an identity. Good idea. Zhongming felt that this idea proposed by Uchiha Itachi was very good. He had the Flying Thunder God and the single Magatama Sharingan, so it would only take a few minutes to control an ordinary person like Tony. We just have to be careful with his artificial intelligence. If it doesn't work, we can just wait until Tony helps us get our identities. Uchiha Itachi said this and made a gesture of wiping his neck. In order to prevent Jarvis from reminding Tony and causing unnecessary trouble. Zhongming took a breath of cold air and thought to himself, you are really worthy of it, the Itachi who exterminated the clan. If you can't solve the problem, solve the people who may cause problems. No. There's no need to do this. Namikaze Minato looked at Uchiha Itachi with a subtle look. He was so cruel at such a young age. What Danzo said was right. It was indeed the evil Uchiha. All right, go to sleep first, leave it to me tomorrow. Zhongming has already thought about it. When Tony attends those swimsuit parties, he will use illusion on him. At that time, he will definitely not have Jarvis on him. The next day, before Zhongming could go find Tony, an armored vehicle stopped outside, and a group of armed personnel got out of the car. The leader was Brock Rumlow, codenamed Crossbones. He studied under the master of imitation and is Pierce's right-hand man. His fighting skills are equal to Captain America's. He is good at using guns, bows and arrows, and throwing knives. The black landlord has a bad temper. He was very angry when he was woken up early in the morning. He needs the person who woke him up to help him calm down, no matter if he is a man or a woman. He rushed out of the room with the latest AK that Zhongming gave him last night, but he was dumbfounded when he left the room. He saw more than 20 well-trained and armed personnel pointing guns at him. A hero never suffers a loss in front of him, so the black landlord quickly threw away the AK in his hand and surrendered. Hey man, I'm telling you everything. I'm a drug addict. I robbed a white guy for $1,800 last night. A month ago, I broke into his house and stole $600 and some jewelry, and $0 for shopping. Crossbones smiled and waved a photo in front of him. Don't be nervous, I'm just here to look for someone, do you know these guys? The black landlord looked at the photo, yes, I know these yellow monkeys, even if they turn into ashes, I know them, they are upstairs, you have to be careful when you catch them, they have weapons in their hands. Swish. Bang. Zhongming used the flying thunder god mark left on his AK to suddenly appear behind the black landlord and kicked him unconscious. Zhongming's sudden appearance startled everyone and they all pointed their guns at him. Facing Zhongming's sudden appearance, not to mention his men, even Crossbones was startled. After reacting, he quickly ordered his men to put down their guns. Are you kidding? He is here to win people over, not to attract hatred. Hello, Mr. Zhongming. I am Bros. Rumlow from the National Land Strategy and Logistics Support Bureau. I am here to invite you to join the National Land Strategy and Logistics Support Bureau. Zhongming did not answer immediately, but looked at this guy with a strange face, thinking why he looks so familiar. Isn't this guy the villain in Wolf Warrior 2 Inches? Is this a fusion world? Mr. Zhongming. Sorry, I was just thinking about something. I remember you seemed to be a warlord in Africa, codenamed Dad, right? No, Mr. Zhongming, you have the wrong person. Although I have carried out missions in Africa, I have never been a warlord there. My code name is Crossbones. Zhang Ming finally reacted and rolled his eyes at the other party. Why don't you just say that you are Crossbones? Why do you have to talk about Brock Rumlow? He knew that this guy was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the surface, but actually a member of Hydra. Of course, almost 90% of the agents in S.H.I.E.L.D. are members of Hydra, and you can't blame them. As long as you pull someone in S.H.I.E.L.D. and say, "Long live Hydra," in his ear, there is a 90% chance of finding the organization. He was originally going to find Tony to get an identity today, but now he finds that Hydra seems to be his final destination. Joining Hydra, joining the Snake Alliance, is much more promising than joining the Avengers. Maybe after that old man Pierce falls to the ground, I can become the boss of Hydra or something. Thinking of this, Zhang Ming's mouth curled up, and he stepped forward to hook Crossbones' shoulders, with his mouth close to his ear. Crossbones was startled, thinking that this guy might be gay. Although he can sacrifice for Hydra, he doesn't want to sell his ass, right? Of course, if he is the attacker, it is not unacceptable. Zhang Ming certainly didn't know what this guy was thinking, otherwise he would have used the Spiral Flash Super Wheel Dance Roar 3 styles to beat the opponent into slag. Long live Hydra. What? Crossbones was stunned. He didn't expect that the person he wanted to win over was actually one of his own. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? Shish, don't make any noise, I'm from the Red Skull era, and now I need your help. Tell me about it. Zhang Ming nodded and took Crossbones into his room. In the room, Uchiha Itachi was fiddling with guns, Hinata was eating instant noodles, and Namikaze Minato was carving the Sword of Ninja Love, also known as the Flying Thunder God Kunai. Mr. Crossbones, let me introduce you to this little girl who eats instant noodles. Her eyes can see through all obstacles. This little boy is called Uchiha Itachi. His ability is. Zhang Ming introduced the abilities of the three people to Crossbones one by one. Crossbones was amazed, but he still didn't believe it and wanted to compete with Minato Namikaze. Zhang Ming was a little confused. Do you really think you are the Hulk, Crossbones, and you want to compete with a cage-level strongman? How about this, Mr. Crossbones, you should compare yourself with Uchiha Itachi. It's not very useful to compare yourself with Mr. Minato. Mr. Zhang Ming, I am a student of. Okay, Minato, show us your skills. Zhang Ming saw that Crossbones was not convinced and was too lazy to listen to his boasting. He just asked Minato to teach him a lesson. No problem. Minato smiled, walked to the window and pointed at the military jeep that Crossbones drove. Is it okay for me to use that car for my experiment? Of course. Crossbones nodded in agreement. Hydra was not a group of poor people like S.H.I.E.L.D. A jeep was useless. Watch out. Minato casually threw a Flying Thunder God Kunai towards the jeep. Crossbones stared at it without blinking, and suddenly found that Minato appeared above the jeep, holding a kunai in one hand and a fully powered Rasengan in the other. Rasengan. Boom. The jeep was smashed by the Rasengan, and the debris of the car flew everywhere, showing how powerful this Rasengan was. Before Crossbones could react, someone patted him on the shoulder. It was Minato Namikaze, who had returned with the Flying Thunder God technique. Mr. Crossbones, are you sure you still want to show me? Ha 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 ha, I was just kidding. Crossbones broke out in a cold sweat, thinking that this guy could easily beat 10 Captain Americas, so what's the point of competing with him? By the way, Mr. Zhang Ming, what can I do for you? It's nothing, we are all undocumented, and we hope you can help us get an identity card. That's it. Crossbones was stunned. Zhang Ming had said it so seriously before, and he thought it was a big deal. But it turned out to be just an identity. This was too easy for Hydra. Yes, that's it, everything is for Hydra, long live Hydra. Long live Hydra. Crossbones smiled and immediately contacted his superior Pierce. When Pierce heard that the other party was one of his own, he was of course very excited and didn't even doubt it. Yes, as long as someone says, long live Hydra, he is one of their own and the organization won't have any doubts. Not to mention Zhang Ming, they didn't even doubt Captain America's outrageous words, long live Hydra. In the original work, Captain America, who traveled back from Avengers 4, got the Mind Scepter effortlessly with just one sentence, long live Hydra. It can be said that if you can't find a job in the Marvel world, As long as you can find a Hydra member who says, "Long live Hydra," you can get a job. It's a good job, and it's a job within the system. Since Zhongming and others are all people with superpowers, Pierce also directly gave Zhongming the right to contact him directly. Zhongming naturally burst into tears, thinking that he finally found the organization. He was an illegal immigrant when he traveled through time, doing some unpresentable activities such as robbery, $0 shopping, and kidnapping. Now that the organization has cared for him, he must repay the organization. After Pierce is defeated, he will lead the organization to become bigger and stronger step by step until it becomes the master of this world. Seeing that the matter was discussed, Crossbones also planned to say goodbye and leave. Zhongming hurriedly grabbed Crossbones' hand. "Mr. Crossbones, wait a minute. Mr. Zhongming, is there anything else? Do you have money? Lend me some." Crossbones. 5 minutes later, Zhongming bid farewell to Crossbones with tears in his eyes. The main reason was that Crossbones was so nice. He directly gave Zhongming a bank card with hundreds of thousands of US dollars in it, and said that they were all colleagues and he didn't need to pay it back. Namikaze Minato smiled. "This Crossbones is so nice." Zhongming nodded seriously. "Crossbones, really, I'm crying." In fact, the reason why Crossbones was so generous was entirely because of the strength of Zhongming and others. He knew that with the strength of Zhongming and others, they would definitely become high-level executives of Hydra in the future. He had to take advantage of the other party's downfall to help him in times of need, so that he could get better returns in the future. Thanks for watching.